did you enjoy the fight?
I thought it was great. I thought they were all great. Have you ever seen that before? Have you ever witnessed that?
No, it was the first one.
First time.
Something, right?
Yeah.
First time.
5.
Those are seriously tough people.
Any of the fighters say anything to you?
Yeah, they all said. Every one of them came up at the end, and they were great. I mean, they're all warriors. You know, they're modern-day warriors.
What did you tell them, sir?
Just good fight. I mean, the ones, they all came up, every one of them. You saw that. And very respectful of the office.
Why is CNN pressuring the US to bring back a deported MS-13 gang member, a known human trafficker, into your neighborhood? Why is a Democratic senator flying to El Salvador to meet with a foreign president not to protect American lives, but to fight for the return of a man the Supreme Court unanimously deemed too dangerous to stay? And why is the media ignoring the families devastated by gang violence here at home? In today's report, we expose the unbelievable standoff between President Trump, CNN, the courts, and the El Salvadoran government over one deported MS-13 operative. What began as a legal battle has exploded into a national scandal involving criminal gangs, foreign policy, and a media that critics say is more focused on politics than protecting the public. This is not just about one deportation. It's about whether America still has the right to decide who stays and who goes. Former President Donald Trump has always gravitated toward those who exhibit strength, and his recent comments make that clear once again. Speaking at an event where he was surrounded by fighters, actual fighters, Trump didn't hold back his admiration. "I thought it was great. They were all impressive. Have you ever seen anything like that? It was remarkable. These are serious people, modern warriors. They all came up to me. They were respectful. It was a real fight, a good one." That moment captured something quintessentially Trump: admiration for toughness, respect for those who engage in real confrontation, and zero hesitation in applauding grit. Later, on Air Force One, his granddaughter even read out the names of his favorite fighters. But what followed wasn't just a lighthearted moment. It quickly evolved into a much more serious political confrontation. Shortly after, the media, particularly CNN, turned the conversation into a showdown of its own. This time, not about MMA fighters, but about immigration, deportation, and gang violence. The Oval Office became the latest battleground in an ongoing fight over one man's deportation. At the heart of the debate is a man tied to MS-13, a notorious transnational gang. Garcia, who had entered the United States during the Obama administration, was apprehended in 2019 while traveling alongside other known MS-13 affiliates. Homeland Security officially categorized him as a confirmed gang member. So who exactly is Kilmer Garcia? According to Homeland Security, he's not just affiliated with MS-13, he's a full-fledged member. 2 different immigration judges confirmed this designation. One judge went as far as to call him too dangerous to be released on bond and labeled him a significant flight risk. However, deportation efforts were delayed after Garcia's legal counsel argued that sending him back to El Salvador could put him at risk of being killed by rival gangs. That argument swayed a judge to temporarily halt his removal, effectively protecting a known gang member from deportation due to potential threats back home. This line of reasoning, that sending someone home could endanger them, is what sparked outrage among conservatives and eventually led to Trump's administration overruling the decision and removing Garcia from the country. Trump, at the time, had already designated MS-13 as a terrorist organization. Under his leadership, his team made it clear they wouldn't tolerate their presence in the United States. So Garcia was sent back to El Salvador, despite legal objections.
CNN doesn't want to be neighbors with MS-13, so why does CNN want men and women in Maryland to live next to him? This so-called Maryland dad wasn't coaching girls soccer. He was human trafficking. That's what Homeland Security told us. CNN wants more human trafficking in Maryland?
I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin. Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President. No, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court.
But that's where the situation took a sharp legal turn. A district court, Judge claimed Garcia shouldn't have been deported specifically to El Salvador and ruled that the Trump administration had violated a judicial order. This judge argued that Garcia could be removed to any country, just not his country of origin. That triggered a chain reaction. The issue climbed all the way to the Supreme Court, which unanimously overruled the lower court. Neither the Secretary of State nor the President can be legally compelled to retrieve a foreign national once deported, especially someone the U.S. government deems a threat. The Supreme Court's response? A complete rejection of the district judge's argument. It ruled that executive power in matters of foreign policy and deportation cannot be undermined by judicial orders. It's astonishing that American media would presume to tell El Salvador how to deal with its own citizens. The idea that we would kidnap an El Salvadoran national and bring him back to the U.S. defies logic. If Garcia were your neighbor, would you feel safe? That was the rhetorical question posed by supporters of the deportation. Critics emphasized that this was someone the U.S. government had already identified as a human trafficker based on Homeland Security reports, not someone coaching soccer in the local park, which raises the bigger question. Why is there a push to bring him back to the United States? CNN pushed the issue at a press briefing, asking whether the U.S. would comply if the Supreme Court ruled Garcia must be returned. Trump didn't mince words in his response. Why can't you just say, "Isn't it great that we're removing criminals from our country?" You have no credibility anymore. And that sentiment resonated with many. Why, critics ask, are some media outlets and Democratic lawmakers so focused on returning a confirmed gang member instead of protecting American communities? Even El Salvador's president Nayib Bukele was confused by the media's questions. When asked whether he would assist in Garcia's return, his response was blunt. "How could I do that? You want me to smuggle him back into the United States? That's absurd." His disbelief was palpable. Meanwhile, a Democratic senator from Maryland is pushing to meet with Bukele over this very issue and has even threatened to fly to El Salvador himself if Bukele refuses. All this while families like that of Rachel, an American woman who was raped and murdered by an MS-13 member from El Salvador, are still waiting for justice. Rachel didn't have the opportunity to board a plane to confront her killer's government. Her family's focus was, understandably, on seeing justice served.
You can't undeport a terrorist. They want us to fly a terrorist back to Maryland? What? So a judge could fill out some paperwork and send him right back to El Salvador? Or do they want to fly the terrorist back here and just have him hang around in Maryland? The president of El Salvador couldn't believe how the media was asking about returning a terrorist instead of how Trump secured the border.
Not arranging political meetings abroad. So where's the consistency? Why is there so much outrage over one deported gang member and comparatively little over violent crimes committed by MS-13 in the U.S.? Critics argue that Democratic leaders should be meeting with American CEOs shipping jobs overseas, not foreign. Presidents to negotiate for the return of known criminals. They're asking, are lawmakers prioritizing the wrong people? Can anyone in this press room tell me what would happen if Garcia somehow made his way back into the U.S.? Legally, what would be the consequence? Does anyone even know? The implication was clear. Some members of the press are more focused on scoring political points than understanding the legal implications of readmitting a dangerous individual. If someone has been deported for gang affiliations, why would the next step be to fly them back just to process paperwork? Critics say this is a fundamental misunderstanding of what deportation means and why it's enforced. Instead of asking why the deportation happened, maybe the media should be asking why there was ever a debate in the first place. Fake news doesn't want to talk about how well we've secured the border. CNN doesn't want to acknowledge the progress. I think they hate our country. CNN pushed back, releasing a statement saying, CNN does not hate America, but Trump supporters argue that whether or not hate is the word, there's certainly a lack of pride in American values. Everything you're doing is undermining this country. We hear that we live in a sexist, racist, anti-Semitic society. Yet, millions of people are breaking into this supposedly terrible place every day. Why is that? That paradox hasn't gone unnoticed. While progressive voices claim the U.S. is rife with injustice, millions continue to risk everything to get here, including criminals. Take Repiso Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's recent statements about a climate of fear in America, people being targeted, disappearing, unjustly treated. But who are her allies? In some cases, people with gang affiliations. and even one alleged Chinese spy running a metal shop in New Jersey. We want every bad hombre out of the country. That message hasn't changed.
The president of El Salvador says keep sending them here.
Sometimes they say that we imprison thousands. I like to say that we actually liberated millions.
This isn't about the people who get sent back. It's about keeping the millions here safe. This is Donald Trump's Octagon.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget, subscribe for more in-depth reporting that cuts through the noise.